Hey HappiDaze, HappiDaze here. In today's video, we're doing a TM run. We're going to show you the teams, we're going to talk through them real quick, and then we're going to actually show you the gameplay of a TM run, hopefully showing what these teams are doing. So let's just quickly get into it. I'll put breaks in the actual video itself, so if you just want to skip ahead to the fight after you look at the teams, feel free to go ahead and do that. So for the Ace and Yamato fight, the really only thing you have to worry about here is there's sound effects, there's some increased defense I believe you have to deal with, and attack down. Nothing kind of too crazy. If you use the recommended characters, who's this Uta right here, the Halloween Uta, gets through it super easy. And you can see I just have a bunch of units on this team that have the type advantage. If you don't have the Uta, I would just recommend just going into the quest guide, seeing what people are clearing with. Looks like Nami and Karina are popular. If not, Cat, Viper is there to help you out. So yeah, definitely don't have to have Uta to get through here. The gimmicks aren't really that bad, so this should be a pretty easy fight. Not really worried too much about that. So going on to fight number 2, again, you don't have to worry about the supports that are on this fight either. We're using Uta again as kind of the MVP for 3 of these mini boss battles. And the key thing to remember here is that you need a Luffy on your crew. That way you can trigger part of the conditional special of both the Brook and the Sanji unit. So the Sanji is going to help get rid of the damage nullification as long as Luffy's on the crew. Everyone else is just given a bunch of buffs so we can go ahead and just get through them really quick and have a lot of type advantage there. So again, none of these units are like super critical to have. If you don't have Atlas, for example, you could easily replace her with another int unit and you'd be perfectly fine. So nothing kind of too crazy. Again, pretty easy battle for Kid and Killer. So this battle right here with the Whitebeard and the Marco that you see there is where you have to really start kind of figure out what you want to do. And the reason that you have to do that is because you have to deal with 2 things. One, you have to deal with poison slots on the final battle, and then you have to deal with a resilience, which is just a pain in the butt to deal with. Your middle units get bounded for, I believe it's 8 or 9 turns, so it's a pretty high amount of bind. So basically what we're doing is we're just letting that happen, and we're just going to kill with the 4 units that you see here. So the important units that we have here is the Ezo unit, and the reason that she's important is because we can attach the support unit to her here, which will basically go ahead and get rid of the poison for us, give us all matching slots. Love it. Thank you, Hiyori. Works really well. Or you could throw any other unit that removes poison, do the exact same thing. In terms of the Luffy unit here, so the Luffy unit here is helping us get rid of that resilience in the final stage. But in order to do that, you have to have the Momonosuke support on him, and you have to actually do a specific order. So when we get to the battle, and you'll actually see, I want to have Izo go first, and then Luffy go, because if you don't have certain buffs active, then Luffy will give you the attack boost, and that's what triggers the support effect of the Momonosuke. So you want to make sure that you do it in the order of Izo first, and then Luffy, and then you can do the other specials, and you'll be good to go. Alright, so on the final mini boss battle, we have the Pudding and Sanji. Now this personally was what I found to be the hardest, mostly because there's a perfect barrier that's on there, which is a pain to deal with if you don't have a way to get around barriers. And it's just, there's some damage threshold that's also on there, so, and special bind, so yeah, it's just not a fun stage. So basically the approach I'm taking for this stage is to go ahead and use the Luffy to kind of get through the barriers. We have the Bonnie unit here to help us get rid of the special bind, and as long as you have 3 of the Straw Hat units on your crew, you can activate the super special of Luffy there to get through the barrier, lets you get through it nice and quick. The Zoro unit can get rid of 5 turns of the damage threshold there, and the VV support on here can go ahead and take care of an extra 2. You actually only need a support that can do 1 turn of the damage threshold, and you can easily get through that. And the Jinbei unit here is helping us get rid of the Rainbow Shield that's on that stage. We do have the support on the Bonnie unit there just to kind of help get a special cooldown reduction, but you probably don't even need it. And then, like I said, we have that support on Luffy for just getting additional cooldown. Again, not really needed. You'll be fine. If you don't have those units, they're not game breakers. So the key here is having 3 Straw Hats on your crew, and then you'll probably be able to get through this pretty easily without too many problems. So getting to the 2 difficult parts of the battle, which is the boss battle and the intrusion. So we're going to kind of change it up a little bit. So we are relying on having the Roger, Rayleigh, and Gaban unit. That's kind of the critical aspect. If you don't have a Big Mom or a King Kaido of your own, then that's not a big deal. You can use a friend captain, but you really kind of need that Roger, Rayleigh, and Gaban unit to have both these teams really work. So that being said, this is a team that we're taking on the boss, so we are going to end up using a Big Mom Katakuri friend captain here in the Big Mom to start off with. That way we can go ahead and get her advantage for the second battle there, which is against a strength version. So yeah, in essence, what you're seeing here is a team that we're doing. The key units here are really the Kuzan. You really need him. The Roger, Rayleigh, and Gabanya. You need him. Magellan kind of helps us out with the poison. Yeah, so we'll get into that fight when you see this Big Mom and Katakuri that you see on my crew. Completely replaceable. If you have any other unit, you can completely replace them with it and be fine. Just any other high point booster. We're just using them for just a little bit extra damage on the last stage there. So yeah, feel free to substitute that Big Mom Katakuri in my crew with any other unit, and you'll still be golden there. So let's get into the final battle, which is really the Intrusion Battle. And sorry, just to go back for one more second on the previous battle, just to make sure that the Garp and Sengoku special is ready, you just want to make sure that you have the Mr. 3 support that you see on them, just to give you a -2 cooldown on the second battle, or third battle, I forget which one. But either way, it'll make sure that you're ready to go. And again, on the Roger, Rayleigh, and Gabon, we have the unit there to help just give a cooldown. So any unit that gives cooldown will just help you out. So sorry, moving back into the Intrusion Battle now. Again, the Roger, Rayleigh, and Gabon is really the MVP here. The difference between this team and the previous team is that we're going to go ahead and be using a friend captain, Kaido, and King, as opposed to the Big Mom that we used previously. You want to start him in the King form, and basically we'll keep him in that form throughout the whole battle. Support-wise, we have the Shiru unit on the Roger, Rayleigh, Gabon to help get rid of the poison. We basically have the support on the Nami there, the Nico Robin, to help give an additional 2 turns of resilience when we use our special to get rid of the 8 turns of resilience on the second stage. And then we have the Big Mom, the lower right-hand corner there, just to help with a bunch of more damage on stage 2, and her buff carries onto stage 3. Again, if you don't have this Big Mom Katakuri, you can replace that unit with any other high point booster, and you'll be perfectly fine. So that being said, that's the teams. Let's go ahead and get into a treasure map run, and we'll show you what those teams look like in action. So as you can see, we're currently ranked 579. We are in the top 18%. So that means that a lot of people this time either haven't played yet or are choosing to not play the New World, which is kind of crazy. Usually how it normally tracks is that if you were like whatever top 1000 you get, that'd be roughly what you translate to in your percentage. So if I was 851, typically on a normal TM, I would be like 8.51%, somewhere in that range. So we'll see if more people start playing the TM, if we'll see those numbers improve. But yeah, that it is what it is. So the first battle that we're going to do here is going to be the TM Intrusion Battle. So I talked about what my team looks like before. This is just a quick look at what it looks like again. As I mentioned, we're going to end up using the Kaido and King friend captain to get through it. And we want to, I'm just going to choose one that actually is level limit broken, just because. There we go. And we're going to start in the King form. So on the first stage, we're just going to literally just tap our way through. If you have Wano slots, just try to save them if you can. Not in the world if you can't. I wouldn't worry too much about it. So on stage 2 here, we're going to end up using the Magellan special twice. So the first time we use it, it's going to get rid of the poison, but we're going to get some buffs cleared from us. And sorry, we actually have the Shiru support on the Roger Ilgamon to get rid of the poison. But you'll see, I'll use the Magellan special here, the first one, just to kind of trigger the interrupt. And then go ahead and use the second one right after that's done. So you can see we still have 8 turns of resistance we have to get through. So if you don't have Nami, you could use a unit that does end of turn damage to get around that. But in my case, I'm just using the Nami unit with the Nico Robin support there. And that's enough to just go ahead and completely get rid of that resilience, so we don't have to worry about it. And then I'm using the Big Mom special here just to give us a bunch of damage. We get some tandem slots that will help carry over into the final battle, so you'd like to see that. And at this point, it's really just attacking and killing. You're going to have more than enough damage to go and kill Vegapunk. It's not even close, so you don't have to really worry about that. We are going to get one of our units blown away here. So in this case, we got the Nami and Karina unit blown away, which is the ideal situation because they really don't have a huge boost for this TM. So that's kind of the downfall of them. So we'll still have 4 really good attackers. On the final stage, we're really just using the Roger Rayleigh Gabon special and the King special, and then just attacking, ending with our quick units at the bottom there, the Magellan and the Big Mom. So if one of your units get knocked out on the bottom, you just want to make sure you attack with whatever blue unit you have left. It'll now just make it go through a lot quicker. So I'm just going to go ahead and attack here. And boom, just like that, we're able to pretty easily get through the intrusion without having to worry too much about supports. Of course, as it goes on, we could always throw more supports on there just to do more damage. But yeah, easily enough to get through there without too many problems. This is, I think it's maybe like the 15th run, roughly, that I've done of TM. So, you know, I expect this team to last quite a bit more. Not really too worried about it. So, intrusion fight done. Love to see that. We'll see if maybe we can't get some stamina just so we can keep doing some TMs here. Let's see. Perfect. You'd love to get that stamina. And while I'm going through here, like I said, it's always kind of painful to have to deal with going through the TM here. So just hop into the time slots at the bottom. I'll break it up into chapters. That way you can kind of skip ahead if there's a certain fight that you want to see. If you don't feel like watching me have to click through all these different tabs that you unfortunately get to when you get to the bonus map. But I want to be able to show you guys all the fights guaranteed, including the intrusion fight. So there you go. Got 63k from the growing spot. Not too shabby. So the first mini boss is going to be against Kid Killer. As I mentioned, we don't even have any supports on our units. The key is just to have the Luffy on your team. He'll just help you kind of get through that. I'm just going to do same character. So for the first 2 stages, it's just pretty much just, you know, killing as quick as you can is really the name of the game. You can see our specials are all ready to go, so we don't have to stall for any special to be ready. Alright, there we go. So on stage 3, like I said, the key here is having the Sanji be able to get his special off. That will get rid of that damage nullification. That's really the key. Once you have that done, everything else is easy peasy. So I'm just going to go ahead and use Uta here. Use her super class as well. And the benefit to having this Halloween Luffy on your team as well is that he takes care of all the block orbs. It makes it really nice to just not have to deal with that. So not the quickest team in the world, but completely safe team, and you could see like we could have this team go for as long as we need to kill that mini boss. Not a worry at all over there. All right, move on. Apparently the game wants us to do a lot of runs, as it's just giving us a lot of stamina. Maybe it feels bad because no one's playing. Who knows? Gold card, and so in this case, I don't really use 3 too often, so I think I'm just going to discard the 3 and keep the 2. It'll just make the runs much quicker. I can just quickly take out 3 of the mini bosses on whatever next run we do there. Just hit 5 million. You'd love to see that. Yeah, with these nav chances, man, with 30% chance, like, yeah, it's not even worth it. At least not for me. My luck is terrible on those keycard level up, so I'm not even worrying about that. So, all right, let's go ahead and take on the Ace Yamato fight. As I mentioned, no supports are really needed here. The key is really just to get through it with type advantage units and be able to get rid of that increased defense and attack down that gets put on you. As long as you can do that, you're golden. Now, the barrier is a little bit of a pain to deal with. So if you, for example, have like Carrot. She might be, like the Carrot Wanda unit there, might be a good unit to get through there. Basically any unit that can kind of help get through barriers if you don't have an easy way to, you know, get a bunch of attack boost and orb boost and those kind of things. That's always an option that you can do. Luckily, we got rid of the blindness thanks to the captain there. That's a huge help. So we use Uta special, followed by the Carrot Wanda. Then we're just going to use the super class there. And then basically just use the rest of the specials just to get us in a absolutely fantastic spot. You have to hit 2 goods to break the barrier if you don't have a way to get through that, so just keep that in mind. I'm using Green Bull here just to do a lot of damage. Completely not needed. This team is super overkill for what it has to do. And you can see, this again is a team that will last through the end of the TM with absolutely no problems at all getting through there. Alright, for the next mini-boss, we're going to take on the Whitebeard Marco. Again, we're using Uta. As I mentioned, the 2 middle units are going to be bound, so we're not even going to be able to use them for attacking. Is what it is. It's part of the plan. The key supports here are the Momonosuke support on Luffy, and like I said, you do have to make sure that the order that you do it in is actually important. So just make sure that when you're doing the order of specials, you do Izo first, that we can take care of the poison, and then you do Luffy so he can get the attack boost, which will then trigger the support of the Momonosuke there to do the end of turn damage to get through the resilience on the final stage there. As I mentioned, we use the Izo special because of the support that we have, the Hiyori there. We get rid of all the poison slots, get matching orbs everywhere. We'll use the Luffy. You can see when we use Luffy, we get the attack boost, and then that triggers the Momonosuke support. And then you can just go ahead and use one of the Utas, and you can use her super class as well. And then at that point, it's just GG's. One tap, and you pretty much kill them. Let the end of turn damage there take care of them, and you are good to go, shining, going through pretty quickly. So for the final mini-boss, we are going to be taking on the Sanji Pudding. This is probably the most challenging that I found, at least, out of the bosses. So again, you want to make sure you have at least 3 of the Straw Hats on the crew, so you can get the super ability of Luffy to go through the barriers. I do have the VV support on Zoro there, that we can kind of get through the damage threshold on the final stage. And as I mentioned, Bonnie is being used there to be able to go ahead and get rid of the special bind that gets applied to us on the final stage. And the good thing about using this team, if you have a double Luffy, is that even if for some reason you don't get enough damage to kill, you'll still have one Luffy who will have the revive ready to go if something weird happens. So that's the good news there. So I am going to stall probably just a little bit on here, just so I can kind of get the specials ready. Mostly it's just the Bonnie special that I care about. Like Luffy's special, I mean, it's nice to have, but it's not kind of the end-all, be-all. You can see we got the increase because of the support that we had on there. But you could stall on this stage as long as you need to stall. And the reason that we have to stall on this stage as opposed to the other ones is because most of the teams that you see here, the recommended teams are to use the Roger Rayleigh Gabon batch. But as you probably saw, we are using the Roger Rayleigh Gabon on both the Intrusion on the boss fight, so we don't actually have access to them here. So that's just one thing to note, which is why we had to stall a little bit on here. So onto the boss stage, we'll go ahead and use the Bonnie special. That will go ahead and get rid of the special bind. We'll use the Jinbei special to get rid of the rainbow shields. Go ahead and use the Zoro special to get rid of the rest of the damage threshold there. Use Law. And then basically we're going to use the 2 Luffys just to do a whole ton of damage. Thanks to his special there, we'll be able to actually hit through the barriers, so it makes it so like you don't even have to worry. So you can see we are more than fine in what we're doing. We'll never have to worry about changing this team, and we get through the content really quick. So for the final match of the day, we're going to go ahead and take on the Luffy Zoro. As I mentioned, for this team, we are using the Big Mom friend captain instead of the instead of the King and Kaido like we did for the Intrusion Battle. So we're just going to go ahead and scooch over 2, just so I can make sure I get a Big Mom. That's not a guess, so I can just get the maximum point boost there. So we just do same character here. Perfect. Keep it in the Big Mom form. So this is what the team looks like. As I mentioned, the key things to have here is have the Garp and Sengoku ready to go for the final stage. That's why we have the support on them to get rid of the cooldown. But like the Luffy, the Bullet, and the Ace here are just stat boosters, so it can be whoever you want it to be. Again, if you don't have the Big Mom and Katakuri unit, you could completely replace them with whatever unit you want. It's not a big deal. They're not needed. They're just higher point boosters. That's why we're using them in the crew. You do need them as a friend captain, but you don't need them in the crew. So let's go ahead and get right into it. You can see we got like a 15.7 times multiplier with this team, which is good. So for the first stage, we're just going to go ahead and just kill normally. Nothing too crazy there. For the second stage, and this is why I mentioned we want to have Big Mom in her form, we do have a type advantage against the Law here. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do Kuzan, then we're going to do Big Mom, and then we're going to do Kuzan again, and then just go ahead and attack. Now with this, we can just go ahead and kill. If you want to get the most healing back, you could obviously, just keep attacking as long as you want. The more stemless slots you get, the more HP you recover, and your slots are locked, so you're good. You can not have to worry too much about that. So for turn 1 of stage 3, we're going to use Magellan twice, and then the Roger Rayleigh Gabon unit, and then attack, and then on a revive, we're going to end up using the Garp Sengoku and the Big Mom and Katakuri. As I mentioned, you don't actually need them. You can have whatever high boosting point you have. It's just they give more buffs than if you don't have them. So that's why I'm using them in this team. I'm going to save doing the superclass of Magellan until the revive, just because there's really no need to kind of rush it here. So yeah, at this point now we can just go ahead and attack. You just want to make sure that you leave the Rayleigh and Gabon and the Garp and Sengoku to last, just to do the most damage. But you can see we had tons of damage there. Didn't even have to worry about it. So on the revive, we're going to use the Garp Sengoku. We're going to go ahead and use the Katakuri. We're going to use the super class of Magellan. And we're going to switch the Big Mom into the Katakuri, just so that we can go ahead and not have a type disadvantage there. And you can see 2 hits, boom, easily kill them, get through the content. And yeah, this team will work for probably until the end of the event. Like I said, the Intrusion team might have to change at some point, maybe 15 or 20 levels down the road. It might not still work, but we'll see how far that Intrusion team goes. But you can see all these other teams are absolutely perfect. It works really well. Gets to the content, gets the max rewards, gets to 10 million in dip. Unless you pulled everyone, you're going for the grind. It's probably wiser to save your gems for New Year's than to send them trying to get the 2 new units there, who aren't necessarily really that needed outside of the friend captain for this team event. So that's going to wrap it up for me today. Let me know what you guys think of this TM. As you can see, I'm 727 right now, still top 20%. So that's not a lot of people who are playing, unfortunately. So, yeah, love to hear from you guys how your TM is going. Are you finding it hard or easy if you don't have the units? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, until next time, be kind to each other.